Hello everyone, this is Bob and Threadbare, and welcome back to Sleeping Dogs. Well, I found all the Hell Shrines. You can see it from the blue bar on the left. And I got a little more face and a lot more money, so I decided to raid a bunch more stores. That's why I've got these custom outfits set up. This is for Triad experience. This is for police experience. This is for discounts when you're buying stuff. That's for the ladies. And this is for melee damage. I'm about to do some police experience stuff, so I want to go out and about in my police finest. Which means I look like a prat instead of a douchebag. That's right, throw that can directly at those cockroaches. They gotta live too. Right, and while I was out, I decided to get all of the jade statues I could. Oh, here's the, I got that last time. So this one's new. Reduce damage while in face mode. But yeah, I got most of the jade statues, but there are 3 that I cannot get at this point in the game. Yeah, I just wanted to look at that. Anyway, that means I am going to go down to the gym and power up my melee ability. Now, most of this is just, showing you how to do the moves. That's not very interesting, but there is a conversation with Sifu for each statue, and I wanted to show those off.
I found one of your statues.
The boar, an important part of the collection. I understand your sister passed.
She was an addict. She couldn't kick it. It's not a very interesting story.
I suppose. Though in light of that, your chosen career is rather interesting. To me, anyway, knowing who you are.
You asked me once not to lie to you. And I think in return, you shouldn't ask me about my career.
Fair enough.
It is a little more complicated than you think.
What would you like to learn?
Alright. Well, I got the grapple I wanted. So instead, I'm going to go down the strike tree. I tend to use them more often.
Your new nickname is even more feeble too.
Alright. Easy way to stun. It's very useful, especially after I get another ability. And yes, after you get everything, you get this general melee. I believe I've mentioned it before. Oh. Oh.
Strong like bear, dancing like noodle.
Yeah, and that's another way to get the a stun. Use the knee breaker. Oh, you're still up? You still want some? Alright, I can deliver. To your knee.
Please, stop by again if you find one of my statues.
Okay, now I just gotta wait a second for the thing to reappear here. There it goes.
I found one of your statues.
Ah, the dragon. Wonderful. Did you enjoy your time in the States?
It was all right.
To have 2 homes is to have 2 souls. So they say.
But what if you never feel at home anywhere?
Then I think you must guard your soul carefully, so as not to lose it.
What if you serve 2 masters?
What would you like to learn?
Yep. Watch this.
Ancient master of defeat.
That does just as much damage as it looks like, too. And yeah, it works for the knee breaker too. That wasn't a follow-up. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Took out the guy next to him, too. Oh, yeah, I've been waiting to get my hands on that one. Between that and the knee breaker, ooh boy. Way just got a lot more dangerous.
Found one of your statues.
A snake. I am grateful. Ever think about going back to the States?
It didn't work the first time. Why would it again? And the past goes with you wherever you go.
So you will confront the past rather than run from it.
Damn straight.
I wonder, is the past something we can defeat? Or is it something we simply come to terms with? What would you like to learn?
More strikes. More!
I yearn for the my students who are merely dead.
Yeah, this doesn't change the form, it just powers it up, basically.
Have you no pride, Ming?
And that's still more deadly.
Your ancestors called. They like to disown you. Stop by again if you find one of my statues.
Man, I put his head through the wall. Next.
I found one of your statues.
Tiger. Ah, the tiger. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
With the past, I mean. Your past.
That's one of those questions you shouldn't ask.
Is it? I guess those are the rules. But someone should ask it, even if you ask it of yourself.
What are you, a Zen master now?
Of course. Didn't you know? What would you like to learn?
I wonder how literal he's being there. Yep, and this one's just, the kick is more effective now. It was already pretty effective, being the 5-point heavy attack combo. But now it's even more dangerous. It's just, you know, still not as dangerous as the stun strike follow-up.
Stop by again if you find one of my statues.
You even get bonus points for using it during triad missions. Come on, come on. Not out of statues yet.
I found one of your statues.
Rabbit. Welcome addition. Thank you for the statue. It seems as though they're all finding their way back to me now. Perhaps that was their destiny from the start.
What does that make me?
Oh, I have no doubt your return to Hong Kong will affect many destinies. Not least your own.
Yeah?
Surely. That's why you came in the first place.
Maybe I just wanted to move back.
Maybe. And maybe I decided to break my own rule and train a known triad for no reason whatsoever. But I think we both know different.
Interesting.
What would you like to learn?
Yeah, it's easy to say there's fate when the entire thing is scripted. Ooh. Fun.
Four. Weak. Have you learned nothing?
Yeah, I like that you can use the tackle and jump kick moves while in active combat and not just when you're running towards it.
Stop by again if you find one of
Because, like I've said before, you only need to hold A to activate the jump and the tackle moves. you don't need a running head start. That's important.
I found one of your statues.
The rooster. Good, good. What did you do in the States?
What makes you think I did anything different than what I'm doing now?
You have the feel of a man wearing another man's skin. It fits very well, and yet, if one knows a man underneath, it clearly isn't right.
I suppose that's one way of putting it.
What would you like to learn?
Well, sadly, Dim Mak here is only available once you've finished both trees. Here I am desperately wishing I could get it right away, but no, I have to finish the grapple tree first. And then find 3 more statues. But hey, this is useful.
I yearn for the days when my students were really bad.
Wonder why that didn't work.
Have you no pride, Ming?
I guess the inputs just weren't keeping up or something.
They like to disown you.
But yeah, regular grapples don't work, but tackling them makes their weapons disappear.
Don't like fair.
Well, makes you drop their weapons, so...
I see you have studied Ming Lao, ancient master of disgrace. Disciple of the school of never winning. Please stop by again if you find one of my statues.
I love the things he shouts. It's hard to tell if he's shouting them at you or at his own disciples, but... Well, anyway, there's a bunch of face stuff I can get to now.
Yeah, you see, my car's having a problem, and you look like you might be able to fix it.
Favors, I should say. These are favors. Nobody around except for her. Until now. You know, I could have gotten into that car and run him over. I could have. Certainly had enough time to get in there, enough room to come after him. But I only just thought of it. Not at the time. At the time, I was still thinking that there was no way to do these except to do them normally. That's not entirely true. Because you can use cars against these people, and if you do, then you can end them early, as it turns out. But we might as well see what the developers had planned for us, and not just what the developers allow you to do. Plus, you know, I learned all of these melee moves, and might as well use them. Oh, that didn't knock him down. Well, that did. I gained plenty of face experience, but I only got my money back as a reward. Anyway, I'm sure you don't want to see me running all the way back, so... On to the case. You may recall that we had a disguise and a disguised van waiting for us. This would be that. Alright. And this is how to follow people. Keep your distance, don't get too close, don't get too far. And stay on the correct side of the road, don't run into anything. That's pretty much it. So, Sleeping Dogs, it has a pretty decent plot, but it's not that good at establishing things, so I think I will take this moment to explain what exactly led up to this point. Okay, so there's a dealer named Dirty Ming. He worked for Winston, but then he went to work for Dog Eyes, and so Winston had you chase him down through the night market, and that was when we went. He went at us with a knife, so I damn it. So then we got arrested, and well, you remember that part probably. But one thing Winston said was that he specialized in Special K, and that is the street name for ketamine, which they don't explain, unfortunately. But after Ming was back with Winston, Wei went and talked to him to ask him, hey, are you okay? Are you still getting your supplies? And he said no, but I haven't talked to Popstar, who is my supplier, because I've changed sides, you know, all of this nonsense. Didn't know how he would take it. So that gave us the opportunity to meet with Popstar, and while we were meeting with Popstar, we met his supplier, which is an actual high-level supplier. So we hacked a camera and arrested that guy. We left Popstar alone so that he could find a new supplier, which is what he is doing here and now. Also, something that's a little subtle that I almost missed. I mentioned that ketamine is a date rape drug. So when Popstar said, make sure that Ming sticks with women over 14, yeah, connect those dots. I'm not going to say anything more, just connect the dots. Alright. Either that's all Popstar's crew and they're going off to meet the supplier at the docks, or they're going to finalize their deal on the docks. And that was the high-level supplier. That one guy took his time, because he was the rear guard. Speaking of which...
I live here. I gotta sleep. Get to boat. Drop.
Get over here.
Oh. Come on, man. Come on, man. I gotta...
Oh, God. That's disgusting. Oh, shit.
You know, not everybody can vomit on command like that. But I'm pretty sure that does bad things to your esophagus. I mean, vomiting enough to be able to do so on command. There's a lot of stomach acid going into places that are not protected against stomach acid.
Bullshit. 10 G's at 35. You're cheap. My stuff is worth twice. These are old friend prices. I'm not your old friend. 35. You bring me all the way out here to waste my time? Am I some Taiwanese street merchant? Smuggler Hong doesn't hack. No. No.
I guess that's the high-level supplier. Smuggler Hong.
48 or I sell it all at 18K. They don't got a problem paying.
Uh-oh. Fuzzy, but good enough for evidence.
Did you get Popstar's supplier?
I got him. So did Popstar. 2 shots in the chest.
Damn.
Shuts down the drug pipeline, at least. And I'm giving you Popstar on a platter. I got the deal and the double cross on camera.
Good work, Wei. Thanks. With Popstar gone, Sun On Yi is down to only one supplier. The bottleneck will create a lot of tension inside the triad. Watch your back, Wei.
Alright. For some reason that one guard is gone. Maybe he went to get a glass of water because he vomited. For that matter, that's something Wei should do. Get that stomach acid out of his mouth. Again, not good for the health. Alright, time to get ourselves out of here before the police get...
Really, cops?
Well,
Great.
too late. Yeah, they'll probably want him for questioning if nothing else. So that's why they're chasing him down. Oh, luckily this thing's got a pretty decent engine in it. Just... well, it steers for shit, but... oh, whoops. Killed a man. I'm not laughing at the fact that I killed an innocent person. I'm laughing at the fact that how I discovered that is by saying minus 15 points. Alright, luckily I'm only at one level of police attention, so if I can get rid of this guy following me or speed past him, I'll be done. Looks like I won't be outrunning him, so... yeah, that'll do it. Ah, crap. Took a wrong turn. Well, luckily the undercover HQ isn't too far away from here. Nice jaunty tune.
We've charged Popstar and his top lieutenants. Conspiracy, trafficking, possession, and murder. He'll get life. And we've seized what looks like an entire month's supply. Thanks, Wei. We've done more to stop drugs coming into Hong Kong than half the narcotics squad combined.
That's the value of betrayal. Nice. Death of Officer Charles Ho. Oh, damn it, I was trying to go to upgrades. Yeah, no. Let's keep pumping pistols here. Guns. Recoil compensator. I guess that'll help.
Fish balls. I know you want fish balls. Excellent. You'll see. These things work wonders.
Bowl of fish balls.
Wait! Get over here now.
What's going on, Winston?
It's Benny, manager of Club Bam Bam, old friend of mine. Now he's working for Dog Eyes. That Ham Garton is getting back at us for taking his minibus route.
Look, I'll go talk to Benny, make him see reason.
Yeah, wait, you go do that.
So, based on the coat, I guess Marty McFly was a Triad member or something. I don't get the fashion decisions here. But it does give me 10% more Triad experience, so that's why I'm wearing it. I call this outfit douchebag level 2. Oh, it's right around the corner here.
Would you like some ice cream? It's delicious.
Thanks, but I'm full.
Are you gonna let me in?
What do you think you're doing?
I got a message from Dog Eye. You want to tell him you sent me away?
Dog Eyes? Oh, sorry, of course. Come on in, sir.
you can find guns before this point, so that's why this can happen. Damn it. Don't you hate it when that happens? You both break the same way trying to get past each other. You know, I feel kind of overdressed for this. Looks like it'd be hot in there. Like, Wei would be sweating bullets wearing that coat.
Hey buddy, VIPs only.
What's going on in there?
This is one of the best karaoke rooms in the city. Nobody gets in without a hostess or the boss's approval.
I'm sure we can work something out.
Work something out with the hostess.
Okay. Sounds easy enough. And hey, there's one right over here.
Whoa, damn. Hey, what's your name?
I'm Tiffany. Nice to meet you.
I'm Wei. Wei Shen. You're a karaoke hostess, right? Can you get me into the VIP room?
Sure. Just come with me.
Can do.
You have a bit of an accent. Are you from around here?
Yeah, originally, but, you know, I was in the States for a long time.
Oh, that's so cool. I always wanted to go.
So, what's Benny like?
Benny? You mean the manager?
Yeah.
Benny's nice enough. He always makes sure you get paid on time.
That's good. So, who does he rely on for protection?
Let's go sing.
Yeah, she really would not know about that.
Come on. Sing me a song.
Alright, time for the karaoke minigame. Only one option right now. Yeah, what happens is that you got the left stick to aim that little arrow, and you've got to hit the bars that show up. Guitar solo. You know, this game is actually a lot easier when you use the mouse and keyboard. Because normally you've got to move the stick halfway up or down for the middle parts there.
Wow, you're actually really good.
Listen, you know, I like it down here, but back home, I'm used to a little more. You'd be the person I'd talk to about that, right? Can I get a VIP room?
Yes, of course. It's much nicer up there.
Go ahead to the lounge upstairs. I'll get the room set up.
What was going on with her mouth just now? That was a little creepy. But yeah, mouse and keyboard is just up and down arrows with or without the shift.
Bye, Wei.
I don't think you even have to win the karaoke minigame to proceed through the story. It's just a little bonus if you do. Good for your game statistics.
Oh, hey. Who the fuck are you?
I'm looking for Benny.
Hey, Benny!
Yeah.
Some guy here wants to talk to you.
Hey, what can I do for you?
I have a message from an old friend, Winston Chu.
Winston? Well, this isn't such a good idea. I think you should leave.
He wants you to know that Dog Eyes isn't your problem anymore. If he gives you any trouble, you let Winston know, and I'll take care of it, personally.
You heard that, man. Get the fuck out of here.
These are Dog Eyes' men, aren't they?
Everybody out of the club!
Alright. Time to put some of those new moves into real practice here. Trying to knock one of these guys off the balcony here. You gotta aim it just right. Oh. I think he's down for the count, but he didn't go over the rail. There you go. Anyway, there are some unique environmentals out here, and I really need to get to them. And having done that, I can now assault this guy with the fish.
Benny, get the fuck out of here! Benny, I know you're in there!
I guess this is setting things up in case you haven't experienced it before. I've got my fish! And I've got my stun strike follow-up. Both of them are equally deadly. Now, what else can I run people into? Oh, come on. How did I miss that? Alright. I'm not gonna bother with the stairs. Oh, what the hell? Clumsy for that. Alright. Got some speakers down here too. Oh! You assault the dance floor hard enough, the lights break. Interesting. Also, same thing can happen to these glass tables. I'm not sure if it does more damage or not. Oh, that's right. It's got to be the tackle. Yep, that took care of him. I wonder if there are any other environmentals down here. Well, I guess I won't be finding them. Wonder why he didn't run outside. Kinda cornered himself in here. Oh, this is the first grappler that you encounter in the main game. In the main missions, I should say. This is all the main game. But hey, look at all of these Damn you. Look at all of these environmentals. And the hard part will be, oh, right. Grappler. I forgot for a moment because he's so much thinner than a normal grappler. There we go. Swirly of Doom. Yeah, that guy never brings his head up above the waterline, so... I mean, at least with the urinal, it's only a tiny bit of water at the bottom there. He'll probably live. Uh-oh. Well, luckily the other guy was way out of position to be any help with that. It's you and me now, bud. Now it's just me.
Relax, Benny. I'm not gonna kill you.
Okay.
Just listen.
Okay. What do you want?
Just what I said. Winston wants to be your friend.
And what about Dog Eyes?
Not your problem.
I hope you're right. For my sake. Can I go now?
Of course you can, Benny.
Remarkably polite end to that. Only got 2 bars of cop experience because of that. Ooh, Tiffany's phone number and new karaoke songs. Oh, but first, an interlude.
late.
Conroy's still watching me. He's got a real hard on.
Is your cover compromised?
Well, you haven't fished me out of the harbor yet.
All right. How are you doing?
How am I doing? Fuck, Raymond, where do I start? There's a civil war brewing in the Sun on Yi. Winston and Dog Eyes escalated practically every day. Don't you read my fucking reports?
I mean, you personally. How are you doing?
Look, Raymond, I gotta get back.
Your state of mind is important, Wei. It's important to me, it's important to how you do your job.
Fuck you. I do my job just fine.
Well, that's for me to decide.
You mean Pendrew?
Pendrew assigned me as your controller. And listen, Wei, Pendrew may not be concerned about you, but I am. I know you have a personal stake here, but this cannot be a vendetta. We're cops. There are rules.
You're a cop. I'm an undercover cop. The rules are different. And you're fucking concerned about me?
You are an officer of the law, Wei, same as me.
We are not the same. You understand? We done?
Yeah, we're done.
Short but intense. All right. Got a bunch of reports to look through. Assuming I can remember which ones are which. I really wish it informed you about that. You know, if there was some sort of notation on the list that let you know that this one was new. Not what? Damn it. Click through that. Okay, it does come back. Let's see. Yeah, I know there's another one. Death of Officer Charles Ho. That was it. This is Wei's predecessor, the last officer to be an undercover cop in the Sun On Yi, and the Water Street Gang in particular. It did not go well with him. Today's movie marks the first time I get to roll out a crime corner for my title cards. It was inevitable we'd get to this point eventually, plus I've got a few crime thrillers lined up in the request queue, but I felt like marking the occasion. For today, the movie is Flashpoint, 2007 film requested by Joshua Harrison. The story about the story. The golden age of Hong Kong cinema would end in the mid-90s, and much like the boom, the bust had a few different causes. The Asian financial crisis certainly didn't help the situation, but the industry was declining before 1997. One big problem was audience squeeze. The 90s was when multiplex theaters came to Hong Kong, and all the construction meant higher ticket and concessions prices. But the middle-class moviegoers at the time preferred Hollywood movies for their higher production values and relatively higher quality, because Hong Kong studios had, once again, fallen into the trap of pumping out a bunch of cheap knockoffs rather than concentrating their budgets on a few actually good movies. Even 20 years later, the Hong Kong movie industry still hasn't fully recovered from the crash. There are still good actors and filmmakers in the territory, and there are still responsible studios putting out some real hits. They haven't approached the kind of success they had in the 80s. They're also slowly merging with the rest of China's film industry, as the territory slowly but surely integrates with China, and China slowly but surely liberalizes its economy. But I've got another movie lined up where I can talk about that more in depth. The making of Flashpoint is essentially a story about two men, actor Donnie Yen and director Wilson Yip. Yip entered the film industry soon after he graduated high school. After a decade of working his way up from the bottom, he got his first chance to be a director in 1995. Kind of unfortunate timing, all things considered, but the fact that he's become one of the most famous action directors in Hong Kong, despite the crash, just goes to show how talented the guy is. Donnie Yen is part of the same generation of actors as Jet Li, a decade younger than Jackie Chan, but still old enough to have been part of the industry during the 80s boom. One of Yen's first on-screen roles was as a stuntman for Shaolin Drunkard, which you may recall was a spiritual sequel to last week's Miracle Fighters. But, as an actor, Yen got his first big roles in the 90s, and his star really took off in the aughts. and a big part of that came from his collaboration with Wilson Yip. In 2005, Yip directed and Yen both starred in and choreographed the action for a movie called SPL, Sha Po Lang, known in the United States as Kill Zone. The film takes place roughly 10 years earlier, before the Chinese handoff, and it was about a cop on the edge doing some troubling things to put away a triad boss. The movie was a big hit, and so Yip and Yen collaborated on 2 more movies, the less successful Dragon Tiger Gate and the spiritual successor, Flashpoint, which has different plots and characters but is also a police action movie set before the handoff. The two would continue to collaborate with Ip Man and that movie's sequels, but I strongly suspect I'll be getting a request for that movie eventually, so for now, I will say no more. Instead, I'd say it's time I moved on to the story. After a few short scenes meant to establish the setting and the tone, the movie begins in a nightclub as 3 brothers, Archer, Tony, and Tiger, set up a drug deal with a gangster named Sam. Tiger is crazy and violent, Archer is a womanizer, and Tony is the businessman. All 3 come from Vietnam, and they want to use their home country to smuggle drugs into Hong Kong. However, before they can conclude their business, the police raid the club, led by Donnie Yen, who's playing Inspector Ma Jun. One of the gangsters with the Vietnamese brothers throws wine in Ma's face, so he slaps him, and he throws him into an arm lock when the gangster tries to punch him. The next scene is Inspector Ma in front of a review board, because he gets way too violent way too often when he busts criminals. Despite warnings from the board, Ma has 0 remorse for his actions. The Vietnamese gang is at a driving range when Sam and some of his crew walk up. Sam is upset because he hasn't gotten his goods from Vietnam yet. And when he asks to see Tony, the guy runs in out of nowhere and his gang beats the crap out of Sam's guys. Later on, the guy who threw wine in Inspector Ma's face meets with him on a beach. Turns out his name is Wilson, and he's both an undercover cop and Ma's partner. Their superior, Inspector Wong, shows up to tell Ma that the review board has reassigned him to the police marching band. Tony meets with his gang's boss. The man rebukes him for how he's handling Sam. But Tony saw this coming and threatens the boss's wife and child so that he'll back off and let Tony handle things. Afterwards, Wilson goes home and invites a whole bunch of ladies over to celebrate his birthday, but a Judy is the only one to accept. The 2 of them catch up for a while, and then they get busy. Next morning, Tiger and Wilson go to a car park, and Tiger slashes Sam up as he tries to drive out. But before he can do anything fatal, Wilson backs his car into Sam's and gets Tiger to leave by saying that the cops are coming. As a result, Sam survives and is ready to testify against the Vietnamese brothers. The police bring Wilson in to let him know, and to let him know that Ma is going back on active duty specifically to arrest the 3 brothers. As the 3 brothers celebrate their mother's birthday, they realize something's up when none of the other party guests show up. They all clear out, with Wilson, Tony, and Tiger in one car, and Archer and the mother in the second. Tony's group go to a warehouse and empty a couple of safes of loose cash, but when Wilson steps away to update Ma, Tony gets suspicious and asks for his phone. Ma and Wong catch up to Archer and his mother on the highway. Archer leads them on a merry chase, but when 3 more police cars show up, Archer gets cornered and captured. Soon after, Tony calls the latest number on Wilson's phone. Ma picks up but doesn't say anything, and when Tony says they're going to the pier, Wilson knows the jig is up, and so he bails out of the SUV. Tony then runs him over and knocks him down a slope. Judy shows up to the hospital where Ma and Wong are waiting to hear about Wilson. She's angry at them at first, but when Ma tells her that Wilson's a cop, she is taken aback. Ma later interrogates the mother, but her dementia is so advanced that she doesn't know where she is. So he takes her to a nursing home. 3 months pass. Wilson is well enough to walk with crutches. He and Judy are also a serious item now. Meanwhile, Tony and Tiger have spent the months in hiding and preparing to make sure that Wilson and Sam can't testify. To that end, Tiger kills Sam with an axe in a warehouse, and Tony puts a bomb in a chicken which he gives to Wilson during his recovery party. But the gangster delivering the bomb screws up the remote. As a result, Inspector Wong dies, Judy gets hospitalized, and the rest get away with scratches. Officer Madame Lau shows up to the hospital and says she's sending the whole team on vacation to get them out of harm's way. But Wilson is understandably upset. We then see a montage in which Tiger kills several more witnesses, and now Wilson is the only one left. At the hospital, Wilson finds out Judy is 2 months pregnant, while Tiger and Tony infiltrate the place as janitors. Tiger and Ma end up in the same elevator, and when Wilson appears, Tiger draws his gun. However, Ma noticed in time to stop him, and Tiger only manages to kill an unnamed policewoman. Thanks to Tiger's distraction, Tony manages to capture Judy without a struggle. But as that happens, Ma chases Tiger through a garden with some very nice parkour moves. The chase continues into an open-air market, and Tiger takes a little girl hostage so that Ma will throw away his gun. When he does so, Tiger throws the little girl, severely injuring her, and that makes Ma mad. Tiger goes on the offensive after that. Well, that turns out to be a terrible idea. As crazy and violent as Tiger is, Ma can get even worse. He gives Tiger all of the knees to the chest, and then beats him to death. Still, because Judy got captured, Wilson says nothing in court, and Archer gets off for lack of evidence. But of course this doesn't mean Tony will just let Judy go after this, so Wilson hunts Tony down while Ma captures Archer just outside the courthouse. Wilson fails, but Ma succeeds, and so Ma arranges a hostage exchange on 2 sides of a river. Wilson and Judy cross the river in one boat, Ma and Archer in another. Tony shoots at Wilson when he reaches the far bank, so in exchange, Ma shoots Archer's ear off. Things only escalate after that, but Ma manages to keep Archer hostage long enough to break into a boathouse and get himself some cover when the bullets start flying. Ma winds up getting a sniper rifle from a dead goon. After that, the remaining gangsters chase him into a field. As for Wilson, despite his injuries, he goes back to help Ma. In fact, he smashes his car into a log Archer is standing on, and that gives Ma a clear shot. The 2 wounded men fight each other as Ma gives Wilson cover, but in the end, it's down to Ma and Tony. Tony runs to a collapsed house, a place where he used to live, where he left a spare magazine, but Ma knocks the gun away, and the last fight is strictly unarmed. They get in strikes, they get in grapples, they get in holds, they use the environment against each other, and just when you think the fight is over, it's time for round 2. Incidentally, neither fighter is really using a single set style here. I mean, you can call it a style, but I'll get more into that later. Suffice it to say that you can see moves from a dozen different disciplines in this really, really long fight. But in the end, Ma wins, Tony doesn't die, and for that matter, neither does Wilson. And that is how the movie ends. The style. I've brought up mixed martial arts a few times already, but now that Donnie Yen used it for Flashpoint's fight choreography, I've got just the excuse I needed to discuss it at length. Now, the idea of mixing martial arts is as old as there being more than one martial arts style. Pretty much as soon as that happened, people would argue over which style would win in a fight, the way that people today argue about who would win in a fight between Superman and Batman, and also argue about martial arts supremacy. But really now, both arguments are meaningless. In the first case, it depends on the experience of the combatants and the rules of the match. And in the second case, it depends on the author and the editorial mandate. Honestly, it's just arguing for the sake of arguing after some point. But the arguments persisted, particularly during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, when Eastern nations really had their first opportunity to export and showcase their styles internationally. And so martial arts got tied into national pride. But at the same time, it exposed more people to more combat sports. And starting around World War II, fighting masters started coming up with new styles that combine moves from several other styles. Taekwondo is a kick-heavy style, based on Korean, Chinese, and Japanese styles. Krav Maga gets its moves from wrestling, Aikido, Judo, and Karate. Mixed martial arts as we understand it today probably began in Japan in 1985 thanks to one such hybrid martial art, Shuto. The name comes from the professional wrestling term shoot, which is when the wrestlers really go after each other. The opposite is a work match, in which everything is scripted. The idea behind Shuto is for every match to be real and unscripted, and in service to that, the new wrestling organization cut down on the rules so that more styles could participate. This was all spearheaded by Satoru Sayama, the original Tiger Mask, and thanks to his influence, Shuto incorporated moves from Sambo, Muay Thai, Judo, and Jiu-Jitsu. Meanwhile, the Gracie family of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners moved to America in the 80s and held a publicity stunt where they beat a bunch of other martial arts styles and made a video series of their victories. Inspired by this, in 1993, the entrepreneur Art Davie approached Rorian Gracie and John Milius to create a pay-per-view tournament between 8 martial art masters of different styles. The 3 founders designed an octagon-shaped ring for the battle for the sake of symbolism, and they eventually settled on a name, Ultimate Fighting Championship, or UFC. Now, part of the skill of mixed martial arts is knowing how to deal with other styles. So naturally, the combatant with the most experience of facing other styles, that being Rorian's brother Royce Gracie, is the person who won that first tournament. The event proved popular, so UFC started holding a tournament every year. Originally, UFC had very few rules. No eye gouging, no biting, that was about it. In fact, matches started to get really violent as the fighters started adapting their styles to this lack of rules, and 36 states banned no-holds-barred fighting by the late 90s. So, in response to this backlash, the UFC started passing regulations. They banned crippling moves like punching the back of the neck, dislocating fingers, groin strikes, and grabbing the mouth or nostrils. Gloves became mandatory, and both weight classes and 5-minute rounds were introduced. With the new rules in place, by the year 2000, UFC had become a proper sport. Some Las Vegas business owners bought the UFC soon after that, and between the new rules, new exposure, and the new owner's advertising budget, the UFC became more and more popular with each passing year. It especially became popular after they created a reality show for Spike TV in 2005. These days, mixed martial arts is basically a style in its own right. Participants may start out by mastering one style, but they need to branch out and learn other styles after that, if only so that they'll know what they'll face in the octagon. After all, while UFC might have banned the most disabling and permanent moves, they still allow a lot more strikes and grapples than what you'd see in, say, boxing or judo matches. Different fighters have different strengths and preferences, but they all tend to gravitate towards the moves that are most effective in MMA matches. Many fighters start out with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, since that's the style that started it all, but gyms that practice MMA first and foremost are starting to pop up here and there. Thanks for joining me again for today's film review, and I hope I'll see you next time for the movie that, more than a little, inspired A Fistful of Dollars.